If you want to get up to speed quickly on a really complex and urgent topic, you're absolutely in the right place. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this intense, maybe even, well, alarming weather forecast. It covers Europe, West Russia, and the North Caucasus, specifically for September 11th through to the 20th, 2025. So our mission. Let's unpack what the big meteorological institutions and climate science are saying. We need to understand this unique sort of dual threat situation that seems to be developing. Get ready, because we're going to connect some pretty surprising dots here. Okay, let's dive in. First off, there's this thing that looks like a contradiction in the forecast. You've got a really high chance of widespread above normal temperatures, very hot. But at the same time, there's this thread of intense short bursts of rain. So how does that work? How can we be looking at both a heat wave and heavy rain risk together?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what's fascinating is the strong agreement we're seeing. You look at the ECMWF, that's the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, the WMO APCC, they're all aligned. They point to significantly higher temperatures for that mid-September period. We're talking like 5 to 8 degrees Celsius above the 30-year average in some areas. Think southern Germany, the Balkans. Now, the paradox you mentioned, well, that increased heat actually pumps more moisture into the air through evaporation. But it doesn't mean gentle rain everywhere. Instead, when the conditions are right, all that energy and moisture can get released very suddenly in really concentrated, violent downpours. And that's exactly what causes flash floods, especially on ground that's already baked hard by the heat. So yeah, it's a dangerous mix, the parched earth, then sudden, intense water.
Right. Okay. And that's where it gets really eye-opening, isn't it? Because these immediate forecasts, they aren't just random events. They link straight back to, well, accelerating climate change. Europe, for instance, is warming up more than twice as fast as the global average. We've seen, about 2.3 degrees Celsius increase since pre-industrial times. And think about this. Heat waves became something like 200 times more likely just between 2010 and 2019 compared to before. That's just huge.
It's huge. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, this field of attribution science, it lets us quantify the link now. So studies have shown, for example, that the conditions making wildfires worse in Spain and Portugal made 40 times more likely by climate breakdown. Or the big 2019 European heat wave, there's estimated to be, anywhere from 5 to 100 times more likely because of climate change. Now, for West Russia and the North Caucasus, the pictures may be a bit more complex locally. You see increasing dryness, aridity in some parts, but also this consistent unidirectional stable growth trend, as the science puts it, for heavy rain events in other parts. So you could have regions nearby, one baking, one facing flash floods, makes preparing very tricky.
Okay, let's make this tangible. These numbers, these trends, what do they actually mean for people on the ground? Specifically for this period, September 11th to 20th. If we look at the heat wave risk first, public health is a major concern, right? Heat is often this silent killer. We don't always see it like a storm, but it's responsible for something like 95% of extreme weather deaths in Europe, mostly heat stroke, heat exhaustion. Remember the awful 2010 Russian heat wave estimates are around 55,000 deaths.
It's a terrible event.
And even just last year, 2023, over 47,000 heat-related deaths in Europe, plus the economic hit it can knock off up to 1% of Europe's GDP annually. Worker productivity drops, infrastructure gets strained. But like we said, it's not just the heat, there's that other side of the coin.
Yeah.
That intense rain risk brings its own set of dangers, and we've seen them recently. Just last September, Storm Morris caused huge flooding across several countries in Europe.
That's right, widespread disruption.
And everyone remembers the 2021 floods in Western Europe, right? Germany, Belgium. Bridges destroyed, railways washed away, billions in repair costs. These aren't distant memories, they're very recent warnings. And these threats, they can interact, can't they? The heat dries everything out.
Exactly. It makes the ground less able to absorb water, dries out vegetation, which means when that heavy rain does hit, the runoff is faster, more destructive, especially if topsoil is already degraded. It's a dangerous feedback loop, as you said. So this really raises an important question, I think. We need to stop seeing these events as just, freaks of nature anomalies. They're becoming predictable outcomes. And that demands proactive strategies, not just reactions. It means, two things, really. Short-term preparedness, like having heat action plans, maybe backup power systems, but also critically long-term adaptation, investing in infrastructure that's actually built to withstand these kinds of climate stresses.
So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive really tell us? What's the bottom line for you listening? It seems pretty clear. For Europe, for West Russia, this kind of extreme weather isn't just an occasional blip anymore. It's becoming, an ongoing reality. Operationally, personally, this isn't just a forecast. It feels like a glimpse of the new baseline.
Exactly. And that's why this kind of analysis is important. It's a call, really, For sustained strategic thinking, we need investment in resilience, in adaptation. We can't just rely on emergency response after the fact. The risks are here, and they're clearly growing.
Which leaves us with a final thought to maybe mull over. What does it actually mean for your own definition of normal weather when the unusual starts becoming routine? And how might that shift how you think about preparing, planning, just for everyday life? Something to consider.